Welcome to the Dennis Miller Show. I am the aforementioned Mr. Miller, and I think I just figured it out. I've got job block. What's happening today? Rick Manning. Who's Rick Manning?
I don't know, but maybe he's related to Peyton.
Rick Perry back on the prowl, and he said that he's going to run for president again in 2016, possibly, and he'll need more preparation, like until 2020, I think. Another 4 to 5 years, Ricky. It's just so funny to me that can't you tell when somebody has been in a meeting with people who make suggestions to them, or at least, political consultants who tell them how they have to appear more authentic? Is there anything funnier than that? Maybe people who tousle their hair for a couple hours with a stylist in the morning in certain gels so they can look windblown. That makes me laugh, too, and it looks like they've worked so hard to look like they haven't worked. But Rick Perry might need a little prep, he thinks. All right, good. And here's an interesting story. I'm just seeing this attendant in the next column. A doctor for the Mayo Clinic has said that going to the gym daily won't undo the potentially deadly effects of sitting around all day. And as I've told Christian, that is why I don't go to the gym.
I'm right there with you.
I'm health conscious.
Yeah.
866-509, right? What was that joke I used to do? I get up periodically in the morning and jog my memory just to remind myself I don't like to work out.
It's a good joke.
Solid. Let's call that special back. I locked that special.
Whoa, it's locked?
It's locked. Get over here.
What did it clock in at?
I'll punch you so hard in the face if you question the locking of the special.
I know it's locked.
Around 60 minutes.
All right.
59 minutes. It was 85 minutes.
Whew.
I can't believe I had 85 minutes in me. See, that's the rigors of working it out in front of a full-length mirror in my mini gym at home. Felt like I was in Black Swan or something doing bar work. Plies like me, 3.
You had great form.
Plies like me, 2. Plie. It's a little ballet stuff.
Yeah, please.
All right, who's on today? Later in the hour, Washington Examiner investigative reporter, and yeah, I'm saying investigative today.
I think you
should. I want to pretend I'm European. Thank him for working us into his schedule. Investigative reporter schedule. Luke Rosiak will be here. Christian's laughing because he knows I'm having trouble revving it up this morning.
Oh, there's not much.
That's why I warned you. I felt
there.
like I was suffering from job block right on. I didn't get that concept, but we're
you got
all
it now.
blocked by jobs,
Yeah.
aren't we?
Just imagine if you didn't have to work today.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, that's not even an imagine. That's a reverie. Let me think about that.
Let's not even talk about your after the show
Oh,
plans.
my God. When I think about not working today, I feel like Carol Lawrence with a cup of European coffee and a hot tub with some Calgon. All right, Washington Exam. What's he talking about, Lukey Rosiak? He'll tell us about a federal agency that has given out millions of dollars to private sector unions. What? Gambling and Ricks? We'll also be taking your phone calls at 866-509-RANT, 866-509-7268. Our website is DennisMillerRadio.com, where you can become a premium member to download the show and listen at any time. Let's get to the soup of the day, which is Texas cowboy stew. I don't even want to ask. Okay. I'm going to prep my varmint.
There's a number of varmint in this stew.
Get a rough chop on the varmint, then I put in the Holy Trinity. Hit it with a little sea salt. I know it's prairie varmint, but you want a little sea
the
salt.
sea salt really works well with the prairie varmint.
I'll tell you what, I sea salt, I use it. Slap.
Please read. Plug.
You're telling me to plug it and get to the plug. AutoZone's bringing it to you. For the auto parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone. AutoZone. Christian and I pulled an all-nighter if we seem a little diffracted. And I'm sorry to say we lost our entire vaginal mesh settlement on 5 consecutive hands of Paigow and Laughlin. And I think Wang was dirty dealing me. That was our dealer. Jimmy Wang. Jimmy Wang. All right, let's go to Mark in Buffalo.
Yes, let's.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Dennis.
Do you mind if I call you Jimmy Wang?
I would be welcome to hear that.
Jimmy Wang, what's up?
Sounds good. Hey, listen, I just wanted to, I listened to you yesterday on the radio up here at our local station, and my wife and I got tickets, and we're so excited that you and the officer are shuffling up here to Buffalo. And I just wanted to give you a quick APB on a couple little places for some local cuisine.
Okay.
The chicken wing. It was born in Buffalo, as you probably know, and you guys are at the Shays, which is pretty close to the Anchor Bar, and that is ground zero for the chicken wing.
What level of heat should I get in my sauce?
What do you like? Do you like?
I like hot, but I don't like ghost pepper hot.
Yeah, well, then you might want to just go medium first and try it.
I think so.
Yeah, just to try it. And then the other place, which is really close, is also called the Pearl Street Brewery, and it's a 5-story old brewery, and they got a great menu. They've got good chicken wings, and also up here is beef on weck. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've seen beef on weck on Guy Fieri's thing once in a while. I'm intrigued by the concept of putting a brewery in a 5-story building, the mixing of stairs and intoxication. It must be, as you said, the Anchor Bar is ground zero. That must be the ground zero for capricious litigation suits. People down steps left and right, right?
I would say that, correct.
All right, now, Marky, stay on with Christian if you want to come back before the show and say hi. And thanks for the tips. Yeah, Anchor Bar. Have to remember that. How can I remember Anchor, Christian? What would you attach to that? You know, I need a memory trip. Anchor. Liev?
He is the anchor to this show.
Dragging me down. Dennis Miller Show. I just looked up Rick Manning because the name is so prevalent in my head, and he played for the Tribe. He's about my age. Went on to play for the Brewers, but it's so funny as you read people's stories, Christian. Listen to this. In 1977, Rick Manning had surgery for a broken back, suffered sliding into second base at the now demolished Kingdome in Seattle. Now, first off, that's a rough slide when you break your back.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
You misslide there. That's like the way Sanchez used to go down when they tell him to slide feet first, that awkward thing.
Yes.
You break your back sliding. All right, listen to this chain of events. The injury would lead Manning playing a major role in Cleveland's trade of Hall of Fame pitcher Dennis Eckersley, who was traded along with Fred Kendall to the Boston Red Sox and then they name a bunch of players. In the book The Curse of Rocky Colavito, author Terry Pluto noted that the trade was necessitated by an awkward situation, namely that Eckersley's wife, Denise, had left Eck for Manning after Manning had stayed with the Eckersleys while recovering from his back surgery.
Oh, Eck.
It couldn't have been hurt that bad. What a weird, that's trippy, like the two guys, Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich, trading-wise for the Yankees. Oh, that is a long... I've heard stories like that about other people, but I don't know that they're true, but I'm sure everybody's heard those apocryphal. It's about baseball players, too. All right, 866-509-RANT, our phone number. Watching another commercial here where the young workman comes to the home during the day, and the wife's sort of glowing and beaming at him like he's dishy. And, it's like a Dear Penthouse letter. But do you think women ever have an affair, usually when you look into archetypes, there's some truth to them. Do you think women ever have an affair with an exterminator, Christian, an exterminator? Or is that verboten?
I feel like it would be.
Yeah, because they have all the sort of death dust on them.
Yeah.
I guess
Although, you know what? Some ladies love the death dust.
I've heard they fell in love with the Hillside Strangler, Richard Ramirez.
Sure.
Some women are drawn to death dust like a Roach Motel. 866-509-7268. 866-509-7268, our phone number if you'd like to jump in. Can you imagine Sandra Fluke in coitus with a man and in the midst of the act, informing him that she did not have a diaphragm that day because he and the other taxpayers did not pay for it? Go ahead, John. Buzzkill sex moments. Afrin No Drip is bringing you this segment of the show. Afrin No Drip starts relieving nasal congestion in seconds and keeps working for 12 hours. Use as directed. I'll be in Austin, Texas tonight at the Moon Tower Comedy and Oddity Festival. You'll have to guess which genre they've slotted me into. Nashville, May 17th, St. Louis, May 18th, Reno, June 20th, Scottsdale, Arizona, June 21st. For more information, go to DennisMillerRadio.com and click on Dennis Live. So later in the hour, we're being joined by Washington Examiner investigative reporter Luke Rosiak. He'll tell us about some money being wasted by government. Jeez, this stuff is... And you remember that next time that somebody asks for cuts and they say there's no more cuts. Are they going to have to starve an old person or a kid or take a cop out of a hostage situation or take a fireman off a ladder halfway up a burning building? Remember, that's always what they hit you with right away. And then you hear about $173 million for penis pumps. You know they pay away down there. And yet this is the card they always play. And they're winning with it. 866-509-7268. And let's go to voicemail number 1. This is Tom in California. It's random. I have no idea. Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, I got a good one. Why is Portland, Oregon throwing 37 million gallons of water away when there's a drought in California because a 19-year-old urinated in the water?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense to me, but thought I'd let you know about it. You have a good day, and maybe you can figure out what I can't understand. Bye.
Well, there is something called smart water, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
So could you not take urinated water, bottle it, and market it as dumb water?
I think that you could.
Now, if you added a little, some sort of caffeinated thing to it, you'd have a Red Ball or whatever. But there's a way to make money off that pea water. Let me think on it for a while. 866-509-7268, our phone number, if you'd like to jump in. John in Wichita, voicemail number 4.
I think you might be getting Hillary mad. She says she really is upset when people say this country is in decline. I'm not sure if the country's in decline or recline. I can't tell if we've hit bottom or what's going on, but lowest unemployment rate for, 50 years?
Yeah, that's very clever. The country is in recline. I think you might have nailed down what I've been grabbing at, searching to say for months in one pithy turn of phrase. So good for you. And I don't mean pissy, as Tom in California. He hears pithy, and he's thinking about the 19-year-old who peed in the water supply of Portland. I'm saying pithy. Don't get pithy with me. And yes, the country is in recline. I think Krauthammer is starting to sense that something's up. He's always smart, always right on top of it. But I think his love of country does not allow him to think that we're in real trouble. But I've noticed lately there's been some sort of more of a tone, more of a signal flare going up. Let's listen to a soundbite from Fox News. This is Charles Krauthammer talking about what he sees as an alarming precedent, trend, bad habit that the president has.
Obama may not be interested in working with Congress. but the Constitution requires...
Oh, I know that's his job. I'm just saying this is one in a long string of decisions.
It's not just he's negligent in executing his job. He's being unconstitutional. And if it becomes a habit, which it's becoming, and that's the problem, it's going to establish a principle that a Republican will come into office and he'll say, you know, I campaigned against capital gains taxes, so I'm going to order the FBI not to collect it. That's not how you...
Well,
if that were to happen, you could be sure that the liberals would be screaming about how...
Oh, of course.
But that's the point. This is eroding the rule of law in a systematic way time after time.
Republicans won't do that because, well, recently we've talked to a few people, and people I like, but you can see that they won't drop to that level, they say. Then they become them, and so they'll be in power, and we won't have to worry about that. Let's go to number 8 on O'Reilly. Krauthammer continues.
I would say that the country has just gone through a 6-year, and it will soon be an 8-year experience of electing a man because he would have been a historic first. Completely understandable, but it was one of the reasons that so many people supported him. It was one of the reasons I felt proud to be American the day he was sworn in. But given the record of this amateur who came into the presidency unprepared, and the record he's going to leave behind, I'm not sure the country will want to elect a second
That's why she's going to get away. She's going to get away from him.
Simply to set a precedent.
Well, I agree. It was a great moment for racial relations in this country. I've seen enough white men be horrible at that job over the years, and it's nice to know there is equality amongst all men, now that I've seen a black guy be that bad at it. Dennis Miller Show. May I present a bounty of gravies, sauces, stews, and a tomatillo-based mead?
Huzzah!
Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. Tickets go on sale tomorrow for my show at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, New York on December 5th. Wow, that's a memory, huh? I wonder when the last time I was there was. Because I remember that's where I first started working on the special, which now, Christian, is locked.
Locked.
For more information, go to DennisMillerRadio.com. And have you still not seen, your wife wasn't able to sneak out a copy of her Mad Men?
Oh, no. I mean, she's seen it, but I can't see anything till Sunday.
Wow. You must be so excited. I'm so excited. I'll
We're
be on the
very
road. I'm off that night. I'll be on the road, and I'll be watching, man. And so leave a phone line open for me to get in after.
You know you have hotline access, big man.
To chew the fat. 866-509-7268 if you'd like to jump in. You can also leave us a voicemail there. We got Luke Rosiak coming up. He's going to talk about some wasted money. They're teasing me. They even tease me with the teasers. It says a government agency, but it won't tell me which one.
No, won't tell you.
Wow.
You're going to have to talk to Luke to find out.
Investigative reporter, Washington Examiner. We go to the voicemail line. Jim in Alaska, number 3.
I was listening to your show the other day on the most amazing Anne Margaret, and I remember as a kid seeing her on the Dean Martin show. She was on his Variety, and they were doing a dance, and she was in this black spandex outfit, I guess you'd call it, and she was just beyond amazing.
Yeah, Anne got into a lot of guys' heads, I think. You know, she was in their kitchen. I think the King closed, I'd have to guess, right?
Oh, that's a good guess. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he wouldn't have been able to if he had listened to her sing Bye Bye Birdie. God, is that song off-putting? Have you ever heard that? The opening credits?
Oh.
I have never made it through the film, and I'm an Anne Margaret fan. And I think, who's the other guy in there? Is it Dick Van Dyke?
Yes, Dick Van Dyke is in the film version, yeah.
I can't say I'm a huge fan of his film work, but I would probably watch that film, but I can never make it through the opening credits because it's this... Bye, bye, bird. I'm not kidding. I just did a pretty good rendition of the song.
That wasn't that far off, yeah.
And it's like, my God, was that ever a hit? I mean, Bye Bye Birdie was a huge show, wasn't it, on Broadway?
Oh, yeah, enormous. I believe the movie was very
part of
successful,
it?
too. I mean, that song was, but not there at the beginning the way it is in the movie.
God bless, because it's not exactly Masquerade from Phantom. That's my sort of music.
I had you pegged for more of a Les Mis kind of guy.
I told you that I used to go see Phantom once every year, around 4 years, and Michael Crawford was sick every time.
You did tell me that, but I forgot, yeah.
Playing the part of the Phantom tonight, Dee Dee Khan.
But she was good.
Yeah,
I'm sure she
was
nailed
great.
it.
But it was just a little. And then one time, I've got a great picture. There was we went to San Francisco and took our son to see it, and there was a lovely young kid sitting in once again for the Phantom,
Of course.
but he was so good and he was so charming, and he was so accommodating that backstage afterwards, went back to say hi. He was so good and thank him. And he came out in the Phantom mask to shake my little Houdini's hand. And he was, you should see the picture of him. I've got a couple pictures like that when kids are, really, I'm talking about, what must he have been, 4 or 5, and he's got this look on his face like, oh my God, it's the Phantom. It was also, I took them all to meet a wrestler once, so we have a great picture backstage at the Anaheim Pond of us with these wrestlers, and they've all got their, I think it's Rey Mysterio and some other guy with a half black face and a half white face and long hair, and they're just panicked next to him. It's like they love the concept of meeting them. Then when they actually meet them, they're a little freaked out, like they're a little scared. Maybe it was called the Grave Digger or the Undertaker or something.
The Undertaker is a wrestler that I'm familiar with.
Yeah,
so
I think it was the Undertaker. You should see them. They've got their hands crossed and they're looking down like, oh my gosh. 866-509-RANT, our phone number.
Would you like to hear some Anne Margaret now?
Yeah, no, folks, you got to remember this was a big hit. This is the opening credits song. I've never made it past this. Go. I can only assume that that's what Sarah Palin sounds like to liberals or something. That they dislike her so much.
Yeah, I think you definitely just boiled that down.
I think it's tonal. I don't think they disagree with her. I think they realize that she makes a lot of sense. But tonally, it drives them apoplectic. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Luke Rosiak about the government misspending our money. Who'd have thunk it? There are many great reasons to send beautiful rose bouquets this time of year. Speaking about spending your money wisely, spring birthdays, anniversaries, and of course, don't forget Mother's Day. And while sending 1 or 2 dozen roses is impressive, just imagine her reaction when you send not 1, not 2, 3 dozen roses from 1-800-Flowers.com. She'll be blown away. That's why 1-800-Flowers.com has created this exclusive offer just for my listeners. 36 stunning, multicolored roses for just $36. That's 3 dozen gorgeous roses. Like I said, just $36. An incredible value, but it's only available this week, so you need to order right now. Listen up. Here's the skinny. This abundant bouquet of 36 roses is simply stunning, and you'll come out of it smelling like a rose. Have it delivered tomorrow or lock in this amazing offer for Mother's Day delivery. To order 36 roses for $36, go to 1-800-Flowers.com from your desktop or mobile device. Click on the radio microphone in the upper right-hand corner and enter Dennis. That's 1-800-Flowers.com and enter Dennis, or call 1-800-Flowers and merely mention my first name. Back with Luke Rosiak right after this Dennis Miller Show. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. We're playing that in homage to Christian's extremely talented wife, who's written this week's episode of Mad Men, along with Matthew Weiner. And she's either from Hawaii, and no, I don't know which island, San Diego, Tokyo, or Beijing. One of those.
I'll let you know as soon as I figure it out.
It's the exotica of not knowing. Welcome back to the Dennis Miller Show. I'm all choked up because I don't talk to Rosiak that often. Luke Rosiak, investigative reporter for the Washington Examiner, Tuesday's column, Federal Agency, and we've talked to Luke about them before, but it seems like he's even unearthed more saddening news. FMCS, the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, they're giving grants out to promote union membership. Luke, how are you? Tell me more.
I'm good, Dennis. This agency, I've been writing about it for a while, like you said, and we've unearthed some crazy things, like we talked about before. Employees charging taxpayers $500 for USB drives that are worth $10 or $20. The director buying, one of his first acts was buying himself a $2,000 chair, champagne, and $200 coasters. this is an agency that's out of control, and it's called the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. They're supposed to be a neutral arbitrator that's supposed to basically avert strikes. But they basically have too much money and too many people, and they don't really have a sense of.
And nothing's going to happen, quite frankly, Luke. Right? I mean, you've been how long we've been talking about this now? Probably
right.
the first time.
And the good thing is, Darrell Issa in Congress did an investigation based on my stories, and the director resigned. But this agency is corrupt to the core. So the director's out of there, but they still have these problems. And, they're supposed to be a neutral group, and they're giving money out to unions to promote membership, including public sector unions. So they're taking federal money and giving it to public sector unions so that they can lobby taxpayers for even more money. It's this whole circular thing that there's really just no reason that this is going on, and it just seems like a complete conflict of interest with the basic premise of this organization's existence.
Well, listen, public sector unions are very adroit at writing in something that's akin to legalese, or you know what I mean. They know how to get grants. They know how to write that stuff up. What are they pitching to an essentially what is supposed to be a right in the middle, right smack down the middle group to get them to send them. I see here there's a grant for $101,000 in federal funds to Wisconsin construction unions. How are they circumventing the rules?
Well, that grant is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because the union went to the federal government and said, look, you got to help us out because we're disadvantaged. The way that we're disadvantaged is we make so much money that no one wants to hire us because they can hire everyone else and they're cheaper. That's literally, what the application says. It says we need money because we get paid too much, so can we have some free taxpayer money? And FMCS gave them money for that reason. You have other cases where unions say, look, no one wants to join our union anymore. There's just simply no interest in it. And FMCS will give them a grant to recruit more members. So there are cases where just because of, organic factors, unions are on the decline. And here you have this federal agency coming along and trying to go against these tides. And they go to companies, too. One company got a grant because it said it was employee-owned. And they said, isn't that a cool arrangement? Why don't you give us some free money because we're an employee-owned company? And after they got the money, the first thing they did is sell it to private owners. Another company said, well, we're losing money because manufacturing is moving to China. And FMCS said, oh, that sucks. Have $75,000. So it's just these random grants that are really a fun.
I wish it was random, but it's a systematic dispersal of funds. Let me ask you this. The Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, FMCS, we put it under the heading of a federal agency. How many federal agencies are there roughly? Or is it just too many to even keep track of?
We talked about this last time. These tiny agencies are kind of my thing because it just shows the utter growth of the federal government. I think there's about 300. You're talking about, usually you think about the cabinet agencies, that there's a handful of. But there's about, maybe 250 agencies that are independent, and their top people basically report to the president. So there's no accountability there. Because they're basically cabinet level, but they're just super obscure. And they might seem like they don't matter. They're small in the scale of the federal government, but a couple $100 million a year isn't small to any normal person. And these things really add up.
Could I tell you that I believe that out of the 250, all 250 are rotten to the core. And I know I exist on the side where people say that's unfair to say. I can't say that. I'm not looking for you to say that. But I'm just wondering why anybody would think that this isn't just the way they all roll. I mean, they are stargates for federal tax money to be sent out to people who they cherry pick as friends or somebody they want influence with in the future. It's maddening, but I would, I'd like to see somebody prove to me that there's one pristine organization out there, especially since this one's called the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. And if they're rotten to the core, you don't think, what would your guess be? Or you're saying this is the only one, Luke? I don't know.
I have a number of examples of agencies that they advertise for themselves. They seem eager to justify their own existence. And generally, if you have a reason for existing, you're going to be busy doing stuff that there's a real need for. And instead, FMCS and ones like it, they're always trying to tell us why we need them. Wouldn't it be apparent that we needed you if we actually did? So there, you've got a couple hundred people there always sitting around trying to make a use for themselves. So it's called the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. Obviously that means for unions. But they latched onto that name mediation and they said, we've got more money and people than we know what to do with. Let's get into bullying. Bullying in schools is a bad thing, and it kind of sounds like the word mediating would apply there. So they started making these silly, like, internet games and going into schools and teaching kids about mediating disputes. It's just like there's mission creep and there's just a failure. It's basically none of them know what they're supposed to be getting paid for. They're just collecting the checks and kind of meandering around and thinking, what should we get into today?
I would officially deign it to be mission creepy, and I'm sure that another area that's nebulous enough that you don't leave heavy prints is the green movement. Any of this money being dispersed out there, that's a good place to water it down and have it siphon off.
And diversity, too, is another one.
Diversity,
these
green,
grants
yeah.
that they're supposed to be given out, they're for a very specific purpose. They're supposed to bring unions and management together. But somehow, they say, we need more black firefighters, so have some money for that. And that's another thing you see again and again. So it's just money that's being doled out that has no connection to the actual, the mandate that was given. It's just kind of grants for the sake of grants. Just give us a random reason and you can have some money.
All right, Luke. You can follow Luke on Twitter at Luke Rosiak, Rosiak. I know he'll keep his chin up. I will, too. I'm sure that there's a fix on this right around the corner, and you keep plugging away, kid.
Thanks, Dennis.
All right. And I've rebirthed myself. I don't. It's always the dark before the dawn, and I'm sure sometime between now and the election day that we'll get this sorted out, as they say. 866-509-7268. 866-509-RANT is our phone number. You can also leave us voicemails there. Let's go to Patrick in Toledo. He's wholly vested in the show. Number 2 voicemail, please.
They have a lot of controversy now still with same-sex marriage. I'm not going to stand in the way of two people wanting to get married, but I will play Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate when it comes to the disgusting corporate marriage between Ice Cube and the Coors brothers. He's a hypocrite who wants to bash black people for marrying white people and moving out of the hood. And here he is getting money to promote a product that's not healthy, that's ruining his people. And yes, alcohol is ruining his people. It's time somebody gave three of these people royal ribbing.
Yeah, a lot of stretching there, Christian. I don't quite get that. I've done a beer commercial. I don't listen. I just don't. I don't think that we owe it to each other to get in the way of things that beer's been around for ages. People like beer. What food do I like with Thai food? I like a nice beer, Christian. I don't drink a lot of it, but and Ice Cube, if he said that about what did he say, Christian?
I guess that this
doesn't want
guy's
white people marrying black
that's
people.
What he's saying. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of that's racist, but
sure.
I think Ice Cube's protected because he's black, right? So he can't be racist. I don't know, man. There's a whole new rule book, but I'm sure it'll all sort itself out. And I don't know what to say. I don't think beer's the end of the world. I don't think I'm interested enough in other people to, quite frankly, go over their days and say, here's something I don't think would be good for you, or this something would be great for you. Everybody should be a little more intrepid about their own life and captain it. And indeed, I think if we all started telling each other, that's I don't even know if that's sweet of you. It seems a little intrusive. But thank you. But let's not do it again. Let's not get into each other. We're strangers. We don't know each other. Some people like beer. Some people don't like beer. Some people think beer is the end of the world. Some people don't think beer. I could care less. I've got a formulation on beer. Don't drink it a lot. There are times I don't really like it when I see people drinking it when they're really thirsty after an athletic endeavor or something. That doesn't work for me because it needs to taste better. I like a nice, sour, tart lemonade with a little sugar in it. I don't want it to be completely, suck my face into a potato person sour. But that's what I look for. But I assume that's somebody else's beer after basketball or something, or hockey. But I just don't care enough about other people's day-to-day lives to get interested in what they should and should not drink. So I don't think he's a hypocrite. It does sound like he's prejudiced. against white people. But that's a big trend. You know who's the most prejudiced against white people? I noticed, Christian.
I don't know.
Young white people.
Yeah, I agree.
They're pissed off at Columbus. Don't bring Columbus up to somebody who's 20, unless you want to get a long lecture that eventually leads to how I killed all the buffalo. And I don't even remember ever killing one buffalo. But I will be killing in Buffalo 2 nights from now at the Boulder Fresh and Clark.